On this episode of the Ask It Or Show, episode number 42, I discuss RankBrain. Stick around. Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me today, and I just wanted to have a discussion with you all about RankBrain. Now, even if you have zero knowledge about RankBrain, because a lot of my content is not really directed at SEOs, it's directed at businesses and people thinking about getting into business, but even if you have zero understanding of what RankBrain is, this video is going to attempt to break it down into something that is actually meaningful to you. Now, RankBrain as an algorithmic update has been around since I believe early 2015. It's definitely it's in full swing at the moment, okay? So you need to start thinking about what actually is RankBrain and the fact that it's actually the third most important ranking factor right now according to Search Engine Land and according to Google. Now, what does that mean for the everyday small business? What does it mean for the everyday medium and large business? Well, the way that SEO has always traditionally been done is generally you would get rankings because you had the most link diversity, you're an old domain, you had, even if I go back far enough, you even had what they call an EMD, an exact match domain. If it was painting services, sydney.com.au, you generally will rank at least very high, if not first, just because you had that in the title. Now brand matters. Brands that can be easily remembered in the next 5 years are going to benefit more than brands that aren't so easy to remember on the Google search. And I will explain further as I go along. Ultimately, Google's come out, and it's no secret. You get this information anywhere in the SEO community, but searcher intent is so important. Now, what they used to measure was if you had the best links, you had the most link diversity, your site was optimized, it had the basic on-page optimization, you took care of 404 errors, you took care of internal link authority and optimization, you took care of optimizing the meta, the H1s, the content layout, all the traditional things that I still believe play an important part. That plus the link diversity would generally increase your rankings. What Google's trying to put forward with RankBrain is machine learning and artificial intelligence. I think this is the most important takeaway. This is going to fundamentally change the entire SEO game, in my opinion, because we might be 5 years out from full advancement in machine learning, but it's really going to make it really hard for the scammers and just the low quality business operators and those that aren't or don't really care about their customers, don't really treat their customers well, don't really care about building a brand. They just want customers in, they want customers out, they want customers to leave their checkbook or their wallet or their credit card and goodbye on your merry day. I think what Google is understanding that's becoming more important is that the little players that may not necessarily have the resources for making the best content on the web or the best link outreach or even the best on-page optimization, that they still have and they still can deliver a great customer service that is going to allow customers, but customers would want to come back again and again and tell their friends verbally on social media and pick up social signals about this mad brand that they don't really care at all about SEO, but it's fundamentally, they are fundamentally a great business. So they want to learn more about what's happening in the real world. And I actually said a while ago, I'm going back probably 7 years when I said this. I was literally in a pub at an SEO meetup. Google's going to want to find out the conversations that take place in the pub right? And now they're now with the way voice is moving, that's actually not fun. That sounded like science fiction yesterday. It sounds like science fact today with how technology is evolving. But they want to know as much as about what people are talking about, and generally what people put into Google. They can sort of determine what people are talking about in the pub. Or, my friend said this, I want to go and see, how this actually plays out. Searcher intent matters. What do I want from a business when I'm looking for a particular product or service? Or maybe I'm looking for information. Maybe it's an information-based query. It's not necessarily a transactional-based query. What am I looking for? What do I need to gain from this website that I'm not going to get anywhere else? And how likely is this business to solve my individual needs and requirements? Now, building content is a great idea, right? I've talked about it so much. A lot of people out there are probably sick of hearing it. But content now that matters is content that solves someone's problem. Now, you think, well, that makes sense. But when you really understand the way the SEO methodology used to work, that wasn't talked about a whole lot in 2008, about having content that solves problems. It was more of an afterthought. It was, let's just find out what people are searching for, build that content, and that's it. Now, and if we can game the system, maybe we can even make this content look better than what it really actually is. And what RankBrain is going to come eventually do is squash that. If the content or what you deliver as a business sucks, then that will be made manifest a lot sooner rather than later. And the three unspoken SEO fundamentals I talked about, the entrepreneur, the business model, and the quality product or service, will play out in a far greater extent and importance when this RankBrain becomes more and more advanced. I mean, think about what industry, what each industry is actually trying to solve. If you look at the news industry, right? If there's a big breaking story, right? If your website isn't producing content for that breaking story immediately, when people are going to just flood over and talk about that particular story when they start typing into Google, if you're not talking about it, you won't rank. So when I go into this story, now what does it actually do? What's the difference between my story? What's the difference from Channel 9 story, Channel 7 story, and long term, who's actually going to deliver the best possible content will actually win. What do I mean by best possible content? How effective and engaged were you in that content, right? How many times did I go back to your website for me to solve a problem? Or if I every time there's a breaking news, do I go back to the same website all the time for that news? Google's going to start looking at all these pieces and all these sort of lines and metadata that's happening, how often you go back around a particular subject. So I think that's actually really, really going to play out. And I think over time, improving your brand and what people actually know you for in the real world and what that actually going to translate on search is going to be an incredibly important factor. For example, I want to be known as SEO Amiga Digital or online marketing Amiga Digital. Non-branded plus branded together will be, I think, an important SEO strategy. It's probably an already important SEO strategy now. If I type in engagement rings and I scroll to the bottom and I find out what companies people associate with engagement rings, it's so important. Now, right now, Google cannot only rely on RankBrain because it's still got to look at the machine learning and their artificial intelligence isn't still at a level that it needs to be. But once people start associating brands with the services or the products that the services they're looking to obtain, the products they're looking at buying, once they equate one with the other and they start going back to that particular business because it had the best customer service, which I talked about, which starts with the entrepreneur, right? and all these different signals that seem to go a little bit well beyond just SEO, right? It's going into the real world of how things play out in the business world, right? That's why I think eventually, even if you have an old article, let's say you got an article from 2012, the top 5 best gaming laptops of 2012, and you've generated a huge amount of links, it's killing it, right? Well, eventually that's just going to drop. That you could have someone's going to go above you with a lot less links, with a lot less authority. They're going to go above you because your content is out of date. And in the last video, I put up the content audit and why I think that is mega important. Updating old content is up there with me about getting a great link. I'm working with one client in particular, and we're updating 2012 content, 2011 content, even 2014 content. And, you can see that the fact that not only are we updating it with more up-to-date 2019 information, but the actual articles and content themselves are improving in terms of we're adding videos, we're adding images, we're adding more. Let's say it's like the top 3 ways to clean an oven. Then we're also adding additional information about, what products you should use when you're cleaning the oven. Or, make sure you take the tray out and clean the tray separately using this particular product, and looking at what people search for around oven cleaning and adding that into the article. This is important right now, but it's going to be even more important later on. I think the more likely, and I think this is the takeaway for today, the more likely that someone will go back to you will depend upon how many times you've helped them solve a problem. So that's how you're going to build brand and SEO. If someone sees you ranking for, okay, I want to clean my oven, and I clicked on your article. Now I want to clean my fridge, and I'm clicking on your article a month later. And then a month later, I want you to show me how to clean my granite bench top. And then I'm coming back to see, you're cleaning my cupboards, and I'm going back to get tips on how to clean my cupboards and my pantry and my walk-in wardrobe, right? When Google starts looking at this at a grand scale, and a lot of people seem to be going back to this particular site around these things, they're just going to go boom. They don't care about the links anymore. They're just going to manually boost you, or manually, but through their algorithm. So I think the biggest part right now for an SEO isn't just explaining to clients this is the sort of content you need to produce, but getting them into the mindset of how many problems are we solving as a business. Problems can mean anything, and it completely, totally depends upon the context. I think if you're Toys R Us, before going out of business, what problems are kids looking to I wonder why kids aren't buying action figures anymore, or why aren't kids buying board games? What are they into? What can we provide and that is actually something that kids do in 2019? Where was, and I think when you take that into the real world, it's going to benefit into the digital world. When you've got a website, do you just have a website because you just want people to find you? Well, you're just going to become less and less relevant going forward. It's been the information age a long time ago, but this is going to be, I honestly believe when RankBrain is completely unleashed, I reckon in 5 years, this will be the biggest advancement in the SEO history. Second, I think would be PageRank when Google first started, but I think RankBrain will become really it's definitely going to improve the SEO industry, because it's not going to leave room for the dodgy SEO operators to work, because the crappy links and the crappy content and the private blog networks and all that crap is just sort of going to become less important. And look, are there going to be ways to manipulate this? Absolutely there will. But it's going to be a lot more difficult, because it's going to take factors around SEO, not so much in SEO, that's going to make the most difference in your rankings. And so how you treat the customers, why are they coming back? How you treat them in the real world will then have a huge impact on whether they search for you or services around what your core services, and then your brand into Google. You know, SEO, Amigo Digital. You know, content marketing, Amigo Digital. You know, whatever the case may be, those sorts of things are going to be what matters most. The fresh content matters. How long you can keep people on the site matters. How many pages they view on your website matters. How much trust and credibility do they have in your company will translate into the SEO world. And so if you don't have a strategy around trying to improve user experience, trying to improve your branding, trying to improve your trust and credibility in the market, and just go, well, you know, I've been doing well historically, but you know, we don't do a whole lot out there, you know, with brand building, development and things like that. I think you're going to see a huge shift in how we search as individuals when we're searching for products, and you're going to see a big change in how Google will operate and who will rank first and who will rank 1 millionth. Look guys, that's just me talking. Hopefully that made sense to you. If it didn't, please leave a comment below. If you've got any questions about what you think RankBrain is going to be, leave a comment below, and I look forward to speaking with you in the next video.